good morning, friends. Hearty welcome to the next edition of the VDMA CEO's Thought Leadership Series. And today it's an honor and privilege for me to welcome Senator Dr. PKC Bose, who is the Vice Chairman and MD of Enercon Windenergy Private Limited. Dr. Bose is like a brand ambassador for German Mittelstand companies. In fact, he has been instrumental in setting up of 3 German enterprises in India, SCW, Eurodrive, Zartex, and Enercon Windenergy. He is largely called as the energy conservation evangelist in India. Dr. Bose is one and only Indian senator in the Senate of the Economy, Germany. So congratulations, Dr. Bose. That is really an honor and privilege, yes. Dr. Bose is an alumnus of the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, Indian School of Business, Wharton Business School, and Kellogg School of Management, USA, and holds his PhD from Washington International University, USA. Dr. Bose, it's really a proud privilege for us to welcome you at this edition of the VDMA CEO's Thought Leadership, Dr. Bose. And thank you for sparing your time and joining us today, Dr. Bose.
It was a pleasure.
Right. Dr. Bose, when we look at the present scenario, we are in the midst of the second wave of COVID, or COVID 2.0, if we would call it. Now, after the first COVID wave last year, Dr. Bose, we had quite a strong recovery. In fact, you could say it was almost like a V-shaped recovery. However, this time, due to several factors, there is a big debate going on whether after the opening of the lockdown, whether a V-shaped recovery again is possible. What are your thoughts and views on this, Dr. Bose?
Rajesh, good morning, and thank you very much for having me with you this morning. And I must congratulate you and VDMA to make so much of transformation in the mindset of people, especially in this trying time. So I must really congratulate you and your entire team. You differentiate yourself and the team so differently to the business community, especially because for example, this the discussion this morning itself is so really giving you a feeling that okay, you are talking to not the negative side of the negative side of the situation, but we are looking at the positive side of the situation. So that is exactly important for motivating because since we all are part of the German system largely, so it is also important to give a feeling that no, the recovery, yes, you are absolutely right. Last year, everybody thought that it will be a V-shaped recovery, but I would say this time it may be a U-shape. The simple reason is that I think we took the first pandemic situation very seriously and extremely carefully, but the second wave, we have taken it lightly, and which has really collapsed the entire health and medical system to a larger extent. But then we, the traditional Indian way, we got into action so rapidly, and now I would say I was actually planning to move to Bangalore in March 2021. And suddenly the second attack was really concerned. So I said, okay, let me stay back and see how it is. So I'm still in Pune, and I would say some of the industries, they have really shown a different way of bouncing back in business, or when I say they actually took a V turn, or they are still doing that. That is, one is the e-commerce companies, they are doing extremely well. And also the logistic companies, educational institutions, we never thought that we will have such strong digital education system, which has really made a big change, or still making a big change, and also the medical. And so these are some of the industries, of course, they really shown a V-shaped recovery, or they are also in the process of V-shaped recovery. By end of this year, I think these industries will be really mainstream. But the manufacturing industries, again, there is a huge challenge, especially the automotive industry and also the other manufacturing industry, where you can still see that because the spending, is really nobody knows that what is going to be tomorrow, whether there will be a third wave, whether India is prepared for the third wave. So people largely look at the spending for a automobile or changing a car or buying a car. So many things have changed. But of course, India is one country that changes happens very rapidly because of our ecosystem. So therefore, I would say that the manufacturing sector, I wouldn't see that it will change by end of this year. Everything will be in a even if somebody can make it work, even in the break even, that would be a great achievement. But of course, the other industries which I mentioned, they will definitely still dominate the growth by end of this year. This is my personal feeling. Yeah.
I think certainly, Dr. Bose, as you rightly mentioned, it's going to be quite challenging times, but also exciting times ahead. Yeah. Dr. Bose, let's come to the energy sector. You're so passionate about the energy. You're also considered the energy conservationist evangelist. So I would like to ask you also about the renewable energy, Dr. Bose. Now, thermal energy, we are talking a lot about sustainable energy solutions, Dr. Bose, but if we look at the energy mix in India, so thermal energy still plays an important role, almost 63-64% of our generation. And coal, in fact, is the main energy driver in India. Almost, I think, 54% of the energy production comes from coal. Now, India has this program of attaining 140 gigawatts of wind energy by 2030. However, the going up to now has not been up to the figures what we were looking to attain, Dr. Bose. So that would leave us in, I think, the next 10 years, we would need to add or install and commission 10.3 gigawatts every year. So what is your take, Dr. Bose? Is that realistic? How are we going to achieve these targets in wind energy and renewable energy, Dr. Bose?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. And I would really say that if you really take the India's commitment in the Paris summit, which was almost like, 175 gigawatt by 2022, out of which solar is about 100 gigawatt and wind is about 60, and the hydro is 5 gigawatt, and the rest was for biopower 10 gigawatt. This is how they defined that they wanted to achieve or accomplish 170 gigawatt by 2022, which is nearly impossible. Why? Because we have, if you really look at it today, the solar and wind power commercially viable in comparison into the marginal mainstream, especially when I'm talking about the coal, imported coal and thermal, as you rightly said, we have still 64% is there coming from the thermal side. But there are additional choices now available, especially for the policymakers concerned with the technical, economical, and environmental characteristic of a future power system. And I really have to congratulate the MNRE ministry, the Ministry of Renewable Energy. They have taken a lot of initiatives during this last, I would say, 4 years, and there are really, really exciting things happening in the industry. Therefore, I would say, although the target which is planned, if we achieve that, it will be something remarkable in the world. But this looks to be, personally, I feel that it is not a very good situation at the moment when you look at this. Why? Because we have so many constraints at the moment, especially the government of India's ambitious target of achieving 175 gigawatt from renewable energy for the year 2022. That marks 75 years of our independence, and according to me, this is impossible task. Reason one is the wind and solar. If you take it as a hybrid combination, We have constraints of installation and commissioning. We have constraints of land acquisition. We have constraints of clearances. We have policy systems constraints. We have state and central grid situation. We have so many challenges. And these challenges, the government cannot solve overnight. But the ministry is trying to introduce so many interesting systems. Now, for example, I was talking to one of the very senior persons in the ministry, and he is so optimistic in introducing the repowering system. Now, for example, the old wind turbines installed 20-25 years back, these are all very small turbines of 800 kilowatt or 1 megawatt turbines, which are all staying in the wonderful wind areas and producing very low wind energy, very less wind energy. Whereas if we have a repowering policy in place, instead of that 800 kilowatt class A wind sites, I can put a 4.2 megawatt wind turbine, whereby you will quadruplicate, or 5 times you will have the production of the power. So this repowering is one of the major things the government must take a close look and take a corrective action, so that it will be so easy that all the class 1 wind sites, the old turbines can be removed and put the new technology turbines, which are much more efficient and less cost, and you can quadruplicate the power generation in that sites. So the other sites, you don't have to really worry about developmental process, which is more time consuming and expensive as well. So here is one. And number 2 is the solar. Solar again, still there is, because we have now the bid-in tariffs. Therefore, the tariff is one of the major issue for the IPPs and also all the stakeholders, including the OEMs like us, because that is something which we have to look at the benefit for all the stakeholders. We have still there is a, I can tell you that still there is a very big gap or a vacuum between the stakeholders in the whole process. So if all the stakeholders comes together and make a mainstream promoting the wind and solar as a hybrid combination, I can tell you that we can change everything, because we have enough sun and we have enough wind. So the need of the hour is how we integrate and bring the stakeholders together through policies and regulatory systems, whereby the common objective is one India, one energy. This, if we bring that kind of a system, everybody will get benefit. Now, for example, Rajesh, I'm sure that you will be more than happy to have a green energy at your home.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we have to bring that kind of a change. This change will be possible when you make it cost effective. How do you make it cost effective? You can only make it cost effective by promoting, you being in Bangalore as the IT hub. If you say that all the IT companies who are the major consumers of electricity, and if they all say that we all 50 to 60% of our energy, we only use it from the renewable, and so the government has to collaborate with them. That's the reason last time I have written that NASCOM and CII and ASOCOM and all of them, they should say that they should promote their members, saying that usage of wind energy or solar energy, this is the advantages, and therefore we must at least give the corporate of India takes at least 50% of the energy from the renewable sources. So you achieve 2 things. One is you achieve cost-effective energy, and number 2 is you are supporting the environment. So this is what, according to me, we should initiate the steps and actions, so that by 2030 we should be able to achieve, what we cannot achieve in 2022, we can achieve in 2030. That itself will be a big, huge benchmarking for the world. India being a country, the 4th largest wind energy country in the world, but we can still grow further. So these are opportunities I see.
Right. I think very rightly you've pointed out repowering and also getting all the stakeholders together. And I quite liked your comment, Dr. Bose, one India, one energy. I think that's very important. You mentioned about green energy here in Bangalore. So I don't have green energy, but I tried to wear a green tie today for our discussion, knowing that you are passionate about the energy aspect, Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, if we compare solar and wind energy, now for solar energy, the import content is quite high presently in India. However, what I read, Dr. Bose, is for wind energy, we are to a large extent, 80% components can be manufactured in India. So to a large extent, we are self-reliant also in the wind energy, as at least the technology part. So now with Atma Nirbhar Bharat program of the government, where there is a focus on developing self-reliant, self-resilience. So do you think this, in a way, Dr. Bose, would also give a boost or a push to the wind energy market in India?
Absolutely, Rajesh, you are absolutely right that, when you look at this solar and wind, and today I saw it in the newspaper that 20,000 crore solarized agri-field days by Mr. R.K. Singh, the energy minister. This is an excellent move, but at the same time, the most important thing is if you can make the solar, because everything solar, you get it imported and the duty, and when the cost factor is, there's a big mismatch. Whereas when it comes to wind, for example, Enercon and also all other multinational companies who are here in India, they are all outsourcing. India is considered largely as an outsourcing hub for wind energy, because 80%, as you very correctly said, 85% of the components you can get it from locally. So this is a self-reliant India initiative. This is an absolutely wonderful thing. I really thank the government for this kind of an initiative, the Atma Nirbhar Bharat initiative, and whereby, the most of the components you can get it here, and we have really intelligent people available here. So when you look at this will be an absolutely wonderful move of having 80-85% components locally, and this become cost effective even for the global market for the wind turbine makers.
This would also, Dr. Bose, help then with this program of Atma Nirbhar Bharat. I think this should give a boost or help the local production also. Right. Dr. Bose, now R&D, research and development, is very important for development of the nation also. If we look at the energy sector, Dr. Bose, with your experience, how do you feel, Dr. Bose, what is the R&D activity going on in wind energy, solar energy in our country? And maybe a second part, I would say, is Enercon also doing some R&D work in India, or is there plan to do some R&D work in India, Dr. Bose?
Yeah, Rajesh, if you really look at the ecosystem of wind energy in India, the biggest factor for any OEM like Enercon to look at India is the R&D area. The research and development, because the intellectual people over here and the cost factor, these two are the main drivers for an R&D activity for any OEM. Now, for example, Enercon, when we started in 2019, January in Bangalore, we had no plan to move anything to do with our R&D activities in India. We were only looking at India for our outsourcing. We said that India will be our outsourcing hub. But in September 2019, the group realized that, no, we must go to India for R&D activities. And I'm very proud that the Enercon global management has made the decision that India should be our second outsourcing hub after, R&D hub after Germany. So
congratulations, I think, largely to your efforts also. Thank you.
We have an excellent team, nearly 100 plus engineers. During the peak COVID period, I was only hiring people for R&D. And today I'm very proud to share with you that we have R&D alone, we have about 100 top class engineers sitting in Bangalore, and they are supporting our global R&D team. And 2 weeks back, when our global CTO, when he said about the kind of contributions made by the Indian team, despite of the COVID situation, despite of not having formal induction and training. It was all virtual induction and training. In spite of that, also the contribution they made back to the headquarters and our global supporting system for R&D was remarkable. So it is and the simple reason is that the educational system in India and also the intelligent people available, and Bangalore being the hub of IT, we have also the IT hub over there, and not only us, but also all the international competitors of us, they are also having their R&D center in Bangalore. So Bangalore, we have made the right decision being over there for our R&D activities, and also we are still hiring more and more and more R&D people for our new development and new products introduction. So I'm sure that maybe another 2 years time, we will be India will be one of our biggest outsourcing hub for R&D activities.
Wow, that's very encouraging to hear that, Dr. Bose, and wish you all the very best in this endeavor also to make India as an important hub of R&D activities for the Enercon group, Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, since you have vast experience in various countries and you have been closely associated with 3 German companies setting up their operations in India, I would just like to ask one question regarding the skill sets in India, Dr. Bose. What is your take, Dr. Bose? Because I am a strong believer that in our country, it is not the problem of unemployment, it is the problem of employability of the workforce. Because I think there is, but our education system as such produces engineers in masses, but their employability in the industry takes a time because the practical aspect is missing. I would like you to share your thoughts on this also, Dr. Bose. How do you foresee this?
I fully agree with you what you say. We produce in mass, but the employability of the people you need to spend a lot of time and energy to train and develop them, which is not, because we don't have, essentially, even in the engineering institutions, we only produce mass people and give them a qualification. But we don't really give them the knowledge in practicalities, because the induction programs or the introduction of, the need of the hour is the introduction of sort of a on the job and off the job training kind of stuff. Not only the classroom, but also they should be engaged in the industries, like in Germany, what they do, or in many of the countries in the world. They also have apprenticeship programs and so on, whereby even the student, when he comes out of, a mechanical engineer comes out of an Indian institute, he only knows what is a gearbox, as on a practical way, on a theoretical basis. But in Germany or elsewhere, you will find he also knows that how a gear and pinion, how does it work, etc., because he also spent some time in an industry, because of that industry and academia has to work very closely in India in order to produce the best talents. And I must tell you that if we do this, it will be a remarkable success, because we can even export the talents to the world. Now I will give you an example of the wind industry. Last week somebody was asking me that, Dr. Bose, we are a company who does installation and commissioning of wind turbines across the world, and we wanted to be in India, and we wanted to be in India for one reason. We wanted to get the people from there, because we have now projects in Vietnam and also in many other countries in Far East. So we wanted to get the Indian engineers or Indian technicians to these countries. So, and my only question to them, are you looking for trained or unskilled? And they wanted all trained people. I said, then it is a difficult task for you, because we don't have that. So he was under the impression we also have the apprentice system, where somebody, an engineer has to, or a technician has to spend half the year in an industry. But I said, we don't have that strong system at the moment. I would also like to share with you that Enercon has something we have called Enercon Academy. So Enercon is, in the wind energy sector, Enercon is one of the be biggest contributors for training the people for getting more and more students, giving training for them, especially for the wind energy sector. So we have a very, very excellent training program. So we get a lot of students and we train them, and so they are ready-made. When they come out of the university, they are ready-made. They know everything as much as an Enercon employee knows. So this is one thing I'm in discussion with our global HR and also the CEO, that how we can bring Enercon Academy to India, whereby we will be able to train and develop. We can produce in a really good quality engineers, not only for making the turbines, but also for installation, commissioning, logistics, supply chain, all the areas, whereby today if I had to sit for an interview for hiring a person, 3 people if I had to meet, I can go to Enercon Academy and say that, hey, I need one person with this quality, so can you give one? So we will have ready-made. So because we will be able to groom the engineers during their study period. So this is absolutely important, the need of the hour for India, because we have a lot of number of people we produce in mass, but the quality in terms of the technical knowledge is still lacking, and they take at least 1 year plus, or maybe sometimes 2 years, depending on the kind of job you are providing. So this has to be changed. This if we create an ecosystem whereby the students can spend half a year, 1 year in an institute, in industry, gain knowledge, then either the same industry will hire them, or the other industries, they will also get an opportunity. And India is such a huge country. Our demographic, again, is a very big concern. In people, many of the places, they don't speak good English, and all these things comes in the picture of hiring process. So I think we create a system whereby the academia and also the industry collaborate together, and this can bring exactly the same as Fraunhofer is doing, Aachen University is doing, Dresden is doing. There are a lot of institutions, they do this kind of interesting things, and so we should collaborate, or we should bring this kind of a system in India. Then it can really give a lot of success stories to the industries.
Absolutely. I think, thank you, Dr. Bose, for sharing these views. I think very important views, and I think it'll immensely also, it will be quite enlightening for our viewers of this program also. Dr. Bose, now, economic growth or ecological protection? I think this is going to be, it's a highly debatable topic, especially in developing countries. And I also read you have written an article on economic sustainability depends on ecological strength. So it will be interesting to have your views, because India, as a developing nation, what should be our priority? Economic growth or ecological protection, or a combination of both, Dr.
I would
Bose?
only say, if ecological strength, that can bring the economic growth. The simple reason is, you take Bangalore as Bangalore was 20 years back. What kind of a city Bangalore was? People used to consider that's a heaven to live. And today the situation is so different. And this is the same case with most of the places. And I was told that in Delhi alone, from 2020 April till December 2020, because of the lockdown and the COVID situation, the pollution level has dropped so drastically. Because there were hardly any movements on the road. The Delhi is one of the most polluted cities in the world. So it is extremely important to create an ecological system whereby you can create, you don't have to really create. The economy will fall in place, because when everybody sees the ecological system are sustainable systems and strong, that is a pillar of strength, and then economy, then naturally, then you have to follow the guidelines. Now, for example, if there is a noise level increase on the wind turbine in Germany, people will immediately make a complaint about it, and somebody has to fix it. And in India, it is not like that. So our systems and regulatory compliances and the spontaneous interest we have to take care of our ecological system is so low. And that is always my concern. Personally, I was a few days back, I was giving an interview with the Australian radio, the radio program in Australia. This was about food sustainability. And, it was really, and the lady who interviewed me, she had shared with me that how they do differently in Australia. But whereas in our country, we just throw it, and everywhere you will see food waste, so much of food waste, because we don't have a regulatory system to save the ecological, strength of our country. And the same as the mining industry, or many times people may not like my comment, but the unfortunate part is that the mining industry, how Goa kind of a place, if you go on do the mining and you are damaging the entire ecosystem. So the ecological strength is only way to be economic growth. I am also a trained climate reality leader under Mr. Al Gore, under his climate reality project. And whenever we talk about the whole episode, and 2018 December, I was fortunate to be in the Nobel Peace Prize Summit in Oslo together with Al Gore. And he only said that, if all of us, doesn't matter that which country you come from, which citizen you are, that is not important. As human being is not important, but being human is important. Because that is where you differentiate. Because even the terrorists are human beings, but they don't behave like being human. So it is time for us to educate our youngsters, our younger generation, the ecological factors, not damaging the environment. And Bangalore has such a beautiful parks and such a beautiful city. But today the traffic level, one of the major crises in Bangalore is the traffic. So these are the challenges. And many a times I always say that we have so much of natural resources available. The moment we abuse that, then we are gone. River Ganga, for example, the recent past, you have seen the news. It was disturbing even the whole world by seeing that. And we say that the River Ganga is a holy river for us, and the kind of things happened. So we have to develop an ecological system, and so that our economic prosperity will automatically fall in place.
Very enlightening views here, Dr. Bose, and it is so relevant for today's scenario also, because we are trying to use all the resources as early as possible, and misuse of the resources, as you correctly said. Yes, yeah. In fact, I would have loved to carry on our discussion further, Dr. Bose, but we are running a little short of time. So my last question to you, Dr. Bose, is actually, when COVID hit us, there was no precedent, Dr. Bose. It was a challenging time for CEOs, for the industry leaders also. So I would like to ask 3 tips from your side, Dr. Bose, on how CEOs and leaders can navigate their boat in the stormy water of COVID. And I'm sure these tips would also be highly beneficial for the German CEOs who will be watching this broadcast, as well as for all our viewers also, Dr. Bose.
Thank you. Rajesh, I have to tell you that CEOs are supposed to face continuous challenges. This is an unwritten rule. That's the reason, there are a lot of space on the top, but only few will make it, because that's how you differentiate the CEOs. So in my my take, or I would like to share this as 3 important tips. What you asked. The one is, you should be passionate about what you do. The passion only can make the difference. So I am a person. My favorite word is called PAINS, P-A-I-N-S. Positive attitude in negative situations. Okay, because the COVID was never dreamt by anybody in 2019. All of a sudden it hit you badly. If you don't have a positive attitude in negative situations, you will never be able to sustain in such unexpected situations. Number 2 is perseverance. If you are not, if you do not have the quality of perseverance, you shouldn't be a CEO. because then you will be only leaning on your board and asking for, help and, take you out of the trouble. But that is not the right one. You should have a plan B and C and D and, because earlier we used to say a plan B. Now even we have to have a plan Z. We have reached to that level. And believe me, trust me, if you have the perseverance, if your perseverance energy is higher, then you will make it, because one of the options will work for you. And that is exactly happened in some of the industries during this really difficult situation. The food and beverage industry has grown so rapidly, and e-commerce and all of them, because they all started adopting the change, the transformation, and they picked up that, and their perseverance of implementing that was so fast. So the output is they're all making 2 digits margin, so it's extremely important, the perseverance and the resilience. The third one is the resilience. Most of us, and we, after some time, we give up. And I only say that if you take a rubber ball and, you throw it to the wall, what strength or the pressure you throw it, it bounces back with the same. So your resilience will only make you feel stronger. So if you do not have the resilience level, then you will never make it. Just to give you an example that, a few years back, until Mr. Narendra Modi came as a prime minister, there was nothing called yoga as a tool for good health. We used to practice yoga in thousands of years, but we never ever marketed yoga, or, really we have gracefully, we never said about the benefits of yoga to the world. But we did that, and today, all over the world, you will see, even if a 0.1% difference because of this campaign, it has made a huge impact in the world, and people started realizing especially this pandemic period. I know for sure that so many people, they told me that because of my yoga and meditation, I didn't get into that kind of a turbulence. And because these are all part of the resilience, because it is a natural gift given to us by the yogi. If you carry forward that, you will be healthy mentally and physically. That will make your business sustainable, because your mind will work with positive thinking and positive action. So you will naturally overcome all the crises, be it COVID or be it any kind of challenges. Now people talk about the third wave. But if you are prepared for the third wave, you have already options available for you how to handle it. And that is the difference between the first wave and the second wave. Second wave came like a tsunami, but still we could manage. Now you see in the month of March that the figures of the number of cases, and now, so yeah, so these are all live examples of the especially on resilience. So that is the last message I wanted to give it the fellow CEOs and also all the participants or viewers of this program. Thank you very much.
I think very valid 3 points you've mentioned, Dr. Bose, being passionate and especially pains positive attitude in negative situations, and perseverance in implementing change, and resilience. I think very valid, and thank you for these 3 points and enlightening our audience. And maybe the last question I would like to ask you, Dr. Bose, I believe you're a health enthusiast also, Dr. Bose. So how do you, despite of so many activities, how do you spare time for your healthy activities also, Dr. Bose? Yeah.
Every day I run 12 kilometers.
Amazing.
Be it training, be it anything. The reason is that I consider that 24 hours is meant for everybody. How passionately you manage that 24 hours, for your family, for your work, for your health. These are the 3 important factors. If I don't contribute to Enercon will not grow. I will not be healthy. If I am not healthy, I will not be able to contribute to Enercon. If I am not family oriented, if I don't connect with my family and not being together with my family, I will never be able to do good for my health and good for Enercon. So I have to manage that 24 hours so beautifully, making all the three, including myself on my health, including my family, including Enercon as my another extended family. So this makes, so it is again a passion how you wanted to design and define your life. So it's not at all difficult. You know, when I run 12 kilometers and then you do the fitness program and then you do some of the things which I do, it is really different for a person to at my age to think. But I never look at the age. I only say that, you know, like Martina, the former tennis legend, she said that when I can only see the ball and the racket and nothing else. So that is how it should be. You have to have that kind of a passion for yourself to divide between these three: family, your job, and your health. Then all the three will be extremely happy.
Right, beautifully summed up, Dr. Bose. And on behalf of the German Engineering Federation, VDMA, Dr. Bose, and the German companies also, thank you so much for joining us on this session, Dr. Bose, and enlightening us and giving your perspective and overview also of the renewable energy sector in India, and sharing your views. I think the CEO leadership tips, as well as on the health, what is the mantra to keep good health, Dr. Bose. So thank you very much. It's been absolute pleasure interacting with you, Dr. Bose.
Thank you, Rajesh. And I also wish you and your entire team absolutely great success. And again, I have to tell you that you guys are doing something completely different. I'm really, really happy. And it's a great pleasure spending the time with you, and all the best wishes to all the team members and also all the viewers. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the kind words and words of encouragement. Thank you, Dr. Bose. Right.
Take care, Rajesh.
Right. Thank you. Goodbye.